I'm Greg Contreras, Mayor of the City of Duncanville, and I want to thank you all. Thank you all on being from the citizens that are concerned about some issues to the life school people that are here to answer questions and engage in conversation. This is a tremendous turnout. I think I expected it, but seeing it is a wonderful thing because it tells me y'all are here to be heard. You were heard the first time. The life school folks did hear you. And so in that spirit, I'm glad that they agreed to come back so that we can engage in a little bit more of a conversation this time. So a town hall meeting is different than a council meeting where you have the 2 minutes to get up and talk and we can't respond back. So that leaves a lot of questions on the table. So tonight, as each person comes up, and we'll kind of create a line when we get to that point, we will ask that everybody remember that there may be a lot of people behind you, and we have a hard stop at 8 o'clock, but that doesn't mean that the high school folks aren't going to be around to answer additional questions. So if you've got a question, we can get in and get it answered, and then we can move on to the next person. We'll ensure that everybody gets a chance to speak tonight. We'll be starting with the city manager and his team that will be explaining the process and where we are right now. They're not going to get into the details of precisely where we're at because we're not there yet. Okay? It's been like there's a reapplication. We're going to hear new information at some point, but that information hasn't been fully completed yet to the extent we can get answers to every question. But trust me when I tell you that the reason that we have you here tonight is so that we can continue to keep you updated and informed as this process plays out. There won't be any gaps in communication. In some cases, some neighborhood representatives have reached out to me and we've been in touch. I'm sorry I haven't been able to be in touch with all of you, but between myself and this is, by the way, this is Councilman Karen Cherry Brown. She is the District 4 representative where this school is proposed at. We also have Councilwoman Dee Gooden. She's the at-large representative, so she's got some involvement with this too. And actually, we all do, because I also points out that we have Councilman Jeremy Coons back there and Councilman Joe Vera Cruz. So we've got engagement from our council. They want to be here and hear what's going on so that we can be better prepared for when we get further down the road and the conversations continue. So again, we'll have probably get a line once we get started with that. But before I introduce the city manager and his team to come up and take over from here, we do have someone that would like to open up with an invocation. So if you would.
Thank you. Good evening. Let us bow. Dear gracious and heavenly Father, how we thank you, we praise you, and God, we honor you for who you are. God, I come right now just asking that you be and you reside in this meeting. I pray that we will be respectful and reminded that we answer to you for our speech, our tone, and our representation. I pray, God, right now that you will speak to the hearts of each of us, that we'll be kind, we will not be mean-spirited. But God, that you will bless this time, that the outcome will be one that will be a blessing to each of us. We pray that we will honor your name in all that we do. God, we ask right now that you guide us, you protect us, you give us wisdom, you give us courage to do what it is that you called each of us to do. God, we thank you, and we praise you, we worship you, we honor you, we adore you, and we love you. And we ask all these things in your Son, Jesus' name, we do pray. Amen.
Thank you so much. Okay, with that, we're going to get started. Again, I want to thank you all. This is a wonderful outcome for a town hall meeting to see so many people that want to be engaged, want to be involved, and want to hear possible solutions for issues you may have. You might not get all those answers tonight, as I said before, but this is the beginning. And trust me when I say that we're trying to be transparent and open and give you the opportunity to be a part of this conversation. So thank you. With that, I'm going to introduce you to our city manager, Doug Finch, and he's going to introduce the team, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Well, good evening, champions. Thank you for being here this evening. We're super excited that you were able to come out and join us and talk about this tonight. Okay, I'll be careful not to touch that cord. I don't know what that was. But before we get started, because the interim fire chief is here, I just want to point out with the size of the group that we've got 2 emergency exits over on this side, 1 back here. I feel like I'm an airline pilot, and 1 back this way, right? So, all right, if you fasten your seatbelt, you know, I don't know the mask thing. I can't do that. So, 2 sets of restrooms back here too. Yes, thank you. Since that's very important, there's a male and a female restroom back here, and then there's restrooms out here by the front door. We did add some extra seats across the back, and so we'll try to add some more in to make sure everybody has a seat. We want you to be comfortable. I want to introduce, I mentioned the interim fire chief, Greg Chase is with us this evening. The assistant to city manager, David Keys, is here this evening. Our economic development director, Victor Barrera, and then our planning and zoning director, Nathan Warren, is here this evening. One of the things I want you to know as residents of the City of Duncanville, we really, truly do listen. We heard when you came to the city council meeting, we heard the concerns that you expressed. The mayor asked to help us coordinate this town hall meeting tonight. We're super excited to do that and have the folks from Life School here present this evening. One of the things I'm going to ask Director Warren to do is just kind of talk about the process here. After Director Warren gets done, we're going to have a presentation from Life School, and then what we're going to ask everybody to do is to come up to this microphone right here and ask any questions that you have. We are recording this tonight. We're recording this so that this is on YouTube for anybody left in the city who's not here. I think most of the city's here, but nonetheless, for anybody who's not here, so that they can watch that and so that they can hear the questions. If you need some help getting to the microphone, or you need some help, just raise your hand and one of the staff members will come around and we'll make sure that we get your questions and share that information. So again, thank you for being here. Director Warren, we'll let you talk about the process.
Thank you, City Manager Finch. My name is Nathan Warren, and I've been introduced as the Director of Planning and Zoning. It is my great honor to be the Director of Planning and Zoning for the City of Duncanville, great city that I take a lot of pride working for, and I just have an opportunity to talk to you briefly about the process of a zoning change. So the first step is for the applicant to submit a zoning change application that is then given to city staff, who will accept that application, review it for completeness, along with the associated documents like site plans, things of that nature, to make sure that that plan can then go to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So once the application has been deemed complete and payment has been processed, property owner notifications to those within 200 feet of the subject site are then sent out, and 15 days prior to the the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, where that body then makes a recommendation to City Council, and City Council ultimately has the final decision-making power whether to approve or to deny the zoning change request. So this particular item first came to us in August of 2023 with preliminary discussions. The subject site is on the southeast corner of East Daniel Dale Road and South Cockrell Hill Road, and it is zoned currently single family 13. In the single family 13 zoning district, an education use is required to have a specific use permit to be permitted at the location. The Life School representatives determined that a planned development district is perhaps the best route to go. So this is a opportunity to be a zoning change from single family 13 to planned development district. And that application was submitted in April 3rd, 2024. Notice was sent out in May of 2024 after staff completed the initial review for completeness for that application, and then that was advertised to property owners within 200 feet of the subject site and in the Daily Focus newspaper. on May 31st, after discussion with city staff and community at large. The Life School representatives asked to withdraw that application from the June 3rd P&Z meeting. And that's kind of where we are today in the process. So that's the laying out the process of a zoning change application, where we are today and where we're going. At this meeting, it's not going to be a vote or a formal process for change or anything like that. Really our aim and intent is to hear from the public and to give a Life School an opportunity to show the changes that they've made. And then once we have that new submitted proposal, that will restart the clock and we'll begin the zoning process once again. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to representatives from Life School who will have a brief presentation, and then we'll open up for question and answers. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Brent Wilson, Life School Superintendent, and we have Brian.
Yes, I'm Brian Nelson with HKS Architects.
Can't hear you.
I'm Brian Nelson with HKS Architects, the project manager for the project on the design team.
So we're very excited that we have this much engagement, that we're going to have this much conversation. Okay, no problem. Hopefully, I don't have a mic cord. Okay, it's working at this moment, right? And this is better. Thank you so much. I was going to say I'm very grateful that we have this many people in the room, those that obviously are in favor of and those that are obviously not in favor of. And I appreciate the opportunity to have the conversation, to talk about what our plans are, even to talk about the adjustments that we've made. So I'm not going to go on too long. I'd rather show you things versus just talk at you. So thank you so much to Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. Thank you, City staff. Just the community at large, Life School team for helping organize tonight's event. So just wanted to give a very brief overview. Life School is a public charter school, so we're publicly funded by the state of Texas. I'm not going to go too deep in this because there's information over there at the table. Mark, can you stand and just wave at everyone real quick? Thank you so much. Mark's over there. He has a booklet that he can walk you through and maybe answer more of your questions if you had any specific questions about what a charter is, a charter school is, how we have our students come in. Do we cherry pick students? Well, we don't. We have special needs students. We have general ed population students. We have students from a lot of different backgrounds and experiences. But Life School has been in this South Dallas, Ellis County community for over 25 years. We're very proud of that. We started at Oak Cliff Assembly of God off of I-35 and Loop 12. And we've been serving on this side of town ever since. And it's truly an honor to be in this community. Our mission is to develop leaders with life skills through strong academics, character training, and partnerships with parents and the community. And our mission is built on 3 values, and that's building trust, valuing people, and continually improving. So hopefully we're building trust here tonight. We want to value what you have to share with us. We've already made some adjustments on initial feedback you've given us, and hopefully that shows our heart to be a good neighbor to you as we move forward on this project. Before I advance, I just want to let you know, just for a point of clarification, this has been mentioned to me several times. Hey, how are we paying for this? What's the financial impact? And I want to be very clear up front that there's no additional tax burden on the City of Duncanville or its residents. We're actually bond approved through Standard & Poor's. We're bond rated, and this project is already pre-approved. So just wanted to let you know that's pre-approved at no additional tax burden to the residents of Duncanville, DeSoto, etc. Okay, just wanted to share that. Well, this is the location that Nathan had mentioned. Nathan had talked about its location, 105 acres at South Cockrell Hill Road and Daniel Dale Road, where they intersect. And part of why we saw that location and said that is an ideal location for us is looking at the 4 different mascots you see are representative of the 4 elementary schools that we have in South Dallas. And obviously this property is central to those four different elementary locations. That would be a feeder pattern naturally into that location. Again, you'll see that we're over by Dallas Baptist University, 408. That's where you'll see the Life School Mountain Creek, Life School Oak Cliff, where it all started, Life School Cedar Hill, and then Life School Lancaster. And all of those are within 10 to 12 minutes of one another in a commute for families or for the busing that we'll do. Okay, proposed site phase 1 would be a high school for 1,200 students, athletic practice fields and a sports venue, and it would be a UIL classification. So I'm sure everyone in the City of Champions knows what a size 6A is versus a size 4A. We're significantly smaller, but it's still a significant size. So I don't want to dismiss that at all, but it'll be a smaller scale experience for sure. Phase 2, and we don't know when that would be the middle school of 750 students. One of the things I really want to emphasize, because I know traffic has been, and that's been a topic that's been talked about a lot, and I'm not going to steal the thunder of the experts that we have here tonight. But I did want to say that all of our pickup, drop-off, traffic queuing will be on site. When you have a piece of property that big, you're able to load a lot of your vehicles on that site and hold those vehicles. Off-duty police officers will be on site. We've done that at Life School for years, even before it was a mandatory thing. And then we anticipate that 40% of our students will be transferred or transported by bus. So I think that will have a positive impact even beyond the traffic design that we have planned. This is just a representation of the communication that we've had with the city and with other groups. As city staff mentioned, we've been talking for a while, haven't we? Even preliminary, before we purchased the property, we let them know this is what we're looking at, this is what we want to do, and having initial discussions with them. And I've appreciated the back and forth process that we've had. It's been good communication, and looking forward to taking continued steps on that. I think that's really enough for that. I just wanted to show a representation of the consistency that we've had in communicating. Our goal is to break ground in January of 2025 and open the school for the 2027-28 school year. So when we were looking at, okay, this is a project, this project's important to us, we want to get it right. So we were looking obviously for a reputable architectural firm that would not only be able to help us design, they had a reputation for listening, but they also had the pedigree and portfolio of projects that they've worked on in the past to make sure that we make the City of Duncanville and surrounding areas proud of what we develop and build there. So some examples, but not at the scale, is American Airlines Center, AT&T Stadium, DFW International Airport Terminal D, and portions of Terminal B, and then St. Jude's Research Hospital. I know you can read, I just wanted to highlight some of those different projects that HKS has worked on. So original master plan, we obviously spent many months working with several stakeholders, parents, staff, etc., that were all connected in our life school system to get feedback from them on the best possible design that we could have. And we worked on that, put it together, and then when it came time to come to the city, we got feedback, didn't we? So we presented at the June City Council meeting. It was an informational presentation that we gave, and we received a lot of feedback from different people in the community. And fortunately, we had already had a Zoom teleconference with them, and we'd received some other feedback prior to. So we really took those things and said, these are the overall themes that we really need to talk about and address. But I want you to see first and foremost the original master plan that we had. So you'll see here, obviously, the sports venue. You'll see its orientation, its location. We've got news for you there. Phase 1, which is the high school. Phase 2, which is the middle school, and we don't know when that project would even happen. Some additional soccer fields, and then everything you see here is the drop-off entrances from Cockrell Hill area and then Daniel area. So that is the master plan. We presented that as an informational item, and we received a lot of feedback. And we looked at each other and said, we need to make some adjustments based on some feedback, if at all possible. So that's what we did. And let's see if this advances. There we go. So the neighborhood feedback, the themes that we heard were sports venue and its location, traffic and traffic patterns, sound barrier, size of trees to be planted for buffering and screening. And then due to these concerns, we went back to the drawing table, had some meetings, and that's why, as Nathan mentioned, we withdrew our zoning request for P&Z and then tried to incorporate some of these ideas and recommendations into our revised master plan. And at this point, I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Brian Nelson.
Hey, thank you, Brent, for the kind words too. So what we'll do is, what I want to do is go through the planning and some other concerns and about the field lighting, and then we will have our traffic engineer, Christy, come up and talk about the traffic specifically. So here on the left is the original plan that we went to the city with. Just to describe this, it is 105 acres, but if you've been to the site, there's it isn't a creek, but there's a lot of topography and a lot of trees in here. And so one of the things that we did from the very beginning is we don't want to disturb these trees as little as possible. And then also the site is here. So kind of for both of these plans, the entrance off of Cockrell Hill for the high school will be at this site, and it'll come down this winding road through the trees and up here, and then around here and drop off at the high school and then back out. One of the things about placing the high school on both of these sites is that, and the middle school, is that almost all of the classrooms, and when you get out of your car, you're next to the trees and the woods. So as you get out of your car and are out there, you get to see the forest and nature as you come into the school and out in your classrooms every day. So that was very important to the school and to the students and input. And then the middle school in the future would have a driveway off of Danieldale, or it will be built in phase 1, but will just be buses for right now. And then it will come down, not shown here, and then circle and back out, the middle school again, against the trees, so students can be dropped off, have a look at the trees, and then also out their classrooms. Now in this plan, we had the main parking towards the south, and we had the field sort of more in the middle and up a little bit more towards the neighborhood. One of the things here, why we did this was because the relationship of the field to the school, and that having the parking here meant that there was no traffic in the day-to-day here from students going back and forth to the field, and just the relationship and safety of the students and everything else. So we did hear your feedback, and so what we have come back as a revised proposal is the driveways and the school have remained the same, but what we did is we have moved the parking to this area, and then we have moved the field and the lights to the east and to the south, not that far east, but much further south from the neighbors up here, and then we'll show the next one there too. I do want to point out, some things about why we place this. Not only is it to be up against the trees and nature and that, but you can see from the topography, all of these lines are 5 feet increments. So you can see this is really steep in here. And so this is the flattest area of the site. So economically and just not disturbing the trees, not disturbing the earth, but just being respectful to the earth and nature and everything else is why it was located in this area, not, in this area or down in here, the floodplain, to do that, or even up here. And again, this road is going to wind through there. We're following the topography as best we can to minimize even that impact. So this is the sort of revised master plan at a larger scale. This is the road coming in, drop-off will be here and out. Here's the high school, the gyms are here, there's a cafeteria here, and a stage, and a cafenasium is what we're calling it. So it has a stage where music and that. Here's the parking for the school and students, and then the field, track and field, and stadium. And then some practice fields up here and a little bit more of the track. This is phase 2, middle school in the future. This road here and a little bit of parking there. Again, as you can see in this one very well, even our detention pond is here. All of these trees and everything else is left for this development. Okay, so one of the concerns we had was about the sports venue lighting and location. So this is an actual picture of Life Waxahachie School. As you can see, this is a 1,500 seat stadium. There's 1,000 here and 500 here. This is actual Waxahachie. This stadium, when we open, will be the exact same size. It'll have 500 over here and about 1,500 over here, with a potential growth to 3,000, which would basically mean this would double. So that would be like here, and then double on each side of this. So much, much smaller than Duncanville High School or any other high school that you see in the news, like McKinney or anything else as far as stadiums. So we'll have lighting. Do you want to say?
You're doing great.
Okay. Again, this is a Waxahachie with life right now. It's not an image or anything. It's a photo. Okay. So one of the things was a concern about lighting. So one of the things that even when the field was up here that we initially worked with the lighting, the stadium lighting people who are experts at this, was to say we could not have any light bleed into any of the neighbor's property. So that was even before. So the system is a 6-pole system, not to get into details too much, but that allows the light to really shine to the beginning and not out. What you see here in this outer ring right here, which is the 0-foot candle, which means no light. There's 0 light there coming from the stadium. You see it's really bright right in the field, and then it gets lower and lower to the outside. It's 0 to 0.1. 0.1 is a full moon. So just for measurement, the end of the sports lighting that is actual light is almost 300 feet from the Duncanville side, and where the house is here is 112 feet before it's 0 light. And then it's, this is like 0.1, maybe 0.2, a little bit more than moonlight. And then just for reference, the parking lot lights over here, again, this is the 0, so there's no actual extra light in past the property line, which is a requirement by the city. And then another thing we wanted to show was a section from the neighbors of Duncanville for the field. One of the things is, believe it or not, from the backyards of these houses by measurement and looking over the fence, the sight lines are going to be where the poles, even the big poles, are not seen from there. Now, the poles will and lights itself, not actual light, but the lights themselves will be able to be seen from the second story and from the street. But I wanted to show this next blow up. So one of the other things that came up was about security of the neighbors' property and students and noise and sightline and everything else. So what we've done, this is a blow up of the neighbors to Duncanville and also in DeSoto, is we are putting from the neighbor fence, we're putting a 20-foot, what I would call, it's called a landscape buffer, but it's basically a no man's land. Then we are putting an 8-foot solid masonry fence, which I'll show you in a little bit what that looks like. And then we, while not to the level of the buffer, we are planting trees in between this area. That this is a growth of the actual trees over time for the neighborhoods behind in this zone. So these are actual of the trees and their growth rate over the years. So then let's talk about the neighborhood fence. That was one thing that was brought up. Whoops. Sorry, it skipped ahead. Yeah. So to clarify, so one of the things that we've done for one of the comments about kids being around the back of the neighbors' fences or properties is we're creating a 20-foot buffer here of trees and just flat grass. Over here there's an easement, so it's larger. And then we're doing an 8-foot masonry wall that would look like this at 20 feet out. So no students or anyone else is going to be able to get behind this 8-foot wall. That's a requirement by the TEA for security wall, fencing or walls in here. And so this wall, just so everyone knows, is an addition to what is required by code. What the code requires is a buffer of trees. So we've added that in to be, again, good neighbors and to respond to the comments that we heard. And then I will let Christy come up and talk about the traffic and car queuing. I want to point out that Life School is committing significant resources to the traffic patterns and problems, or traffic with the school, to avoid as many problems as it can. I'll just highlight a little bit where over the life of the project there will be 2 turn signals, and then there will be 2 turning lanes at each driveway, and then a new turning lane and 2 new turning lanes at the intersection of Duncanville and Cockrell Hill Road, or Daniel Dale and Cockrell Hill. This is Christy with Lambert Engineering, a traffic engineer who's done a lot of schools and is an expert on school and traffic.
Good evening. I'm going to talk about our traffic plan. We've been working with Life School and HPS a lot on this, and architects don't always love me when it comes to traffic flow. We do a lot of school studies in the Metroplex, and we're like, nope, we need more queue space, we need more queue space. We do a lot of work, especially in the city of Dallas, and they do not allow charter schools to queue on the street, so that's normal for us to have all the queuing on the site. And HPS is great. They work with us well on that, so they listen to us and they take our feedback and implement it. So I'm just going to point that out, that we have on site the high school is entering off of Cockrell Hill right there, and as Brian mentioned, there's going to be a turn lane, both a left turn lane and a right turn lane going into the site. That's not for cars queuing off site. That's to allow, as you're waiting to turn to the school, turning left, you can turn in. And when you're slowing down to turn right into the school, you'll be out of the main lane so that they're not impeding the through traffic. That's what those turn lanes are for. There will also be a traffic signal there so that when school is during arrival dismissal times, they'll be able to leave the site easier. So we have a lot of cars. We have room on the high school side for about 250 vehicles, and we only, Brian showed you the pathway they're going to enter. They're going to come in from Copper Hill and travel all the way down, go around the parking lot, and come through the front of the building. The parents will park there, and the students will come in and get in their parents' vehicles at that point. There's also an additional fire lane. Parents will not be queuing in the fire lane. So we have the queue lane, plus the fire lane, plus an exit lane with a traffic signal. What we don't have shown on this drawing, but is a backup plan. So we project like about 220 vehicles to be on site at one time. And that projection is from, we've been at Life School Waxahachie site, which is similar attendance. And we grew, we added some extra space to be conservative, to make sure we're not on the site. We were at Waxahachie site at least 8 times that I've documented. We were there more. And this is more queue space than what we typically recommend for a charter school, for sure more than we recommend for a public school. So we have, this plan shows 250 spaces, we only project 220, but if we needed more space, there's backup. We can go through the parking lot. Parents can also wait through the parking lot, and they'll have staff there to help navigate that. So we can fit over 40 more vehicles. So we can fit quite a few on site. So I'm not concerned about the high school parents coming in. The parents, yes, most arrive similar. They like to get there early, but some will arrive staggered, and they have after-school activities, and they have school buses. Their siblings will be picked up together. So not all parents will arrive at one time, not all students will be dismissed at one time, and not all students are coming by buses. So that's our high school flow. When we get to the middle school will enter off of Daniel Dale Road, and they will enter and they will circulate and pick up in front of the middle school building. For the middle school, we projected 160 vehicles, and we have space. We projected 160 parents to be there, like the max at one time, and we have space for 180 vehicles. Let me back up to this 160 number that I mentioned. That's not the total number. There'll be more parents coming and going. Like when you're at McDonald's drive-thru, like there might be 15 cars waiting. That's the highest at one time. There's others that have come through, left and come through. So that's not the total that are entering, that's just the most that are there at any one given time. That's what we've accounted for that. So we're projecting to be able to fit everybody on site. There's also fire lanes at middle school too. There's also fire lanes at the middle school. So if there's an emergency, that's happened before. I was at a school doing observations, and somebody, like a student, not at Life School, but a student had a seizure, like waiting, and the ambulance at this other school, they didn't have the cleared fire lane, and the ambulance had to filter through the parents. They have a cleared fire lane, so if there is an emergency, the ambulance or fire, whatever, can get to the school safely without having to navigate through the parents to there. So that's extra. That is not at every school that we do work with. So this is a zoomed in version here showing how the parents will come through. Life has, as Britt mentioned, they have police on staff there at the campus that are helping with traffic flow. And they also have staff that's highly engaged. The traffic flow when we were at the other site, that went well, and we don't expect, like Brian mentioned problems, like, no, we're not having problems. We have a lot of queue space on this site. A lot of queue space on this site. Now, granted, first, don't hold me to this day, like first week of school, give us a pass the first week of school as we're getting used to things. Yes. But after the first week of school, when parents get the flow of things, then we project that all the vehicles will be able to be accommodated on site. So this shows the improvements that we are making. The left turn, southbound left turn lane, this is the high school driveway. There's a left turn lane and a right turn lane, again, so that if a parent is turning left into the site or turning right, we're not slowing down the through vehicles. If there's somebody waiting to turn left, waiting for that gap in traffic, they're off the road so the through vehicles can go. We don't expect cars to back up and use this as queuing. It's just to get them off the through lane so the through vehicles are not stopped. And there's a traffic signal down there. The same thing for up north, at the middle school driveway. We're going to add a left turn lane and a right turn lane. We're going to add the left turn lane. This is for future, but we're going to have the left turn lane now for the school buses to enter. That way they can serve the high school students safely getting off the road. Okay, and our fun intersection, Daniel Dale at Copper Hill. You have a lot of traffic that goes to that intersection. Yes, see, I finally get a reply from them. They are not excited about the queue space, but they hear me on the traffic. All right, glad you're listening. So there is a lot. So what we're doing there at that intersection is, and this is will help your existing conditions. We're adding a northbound right turn lane is primarily for the schools. We're adding a northbound right turn lane. That's going to be extra. New right turn lane, new pavement, new right turn lane. We are extending, if you're traveling on Daniel Dale and you're coming west, we're going to extend that left turn lane. That left turn lane is not terribly long right now. They're going to extend it and make it longer so it can hold more vehicles in that. We've made recommendations to improve the signal timing for the intersection, and they're going to be timing for like school. Unfortunately, school traffic and morning traffic occurs at the same time, but in the afternoon, the school traffic will occur first, and then the rush hour traffic is after the school traffic. So the afternoon part of the traffic, you'll actually have improvements on this intersection with these. Other items that we're doing at Daniel Dale and Cockrell Hill is for east and west on Daniel Dale, there's 3 through lanes, but there's quite a few right turn movement. There's 3 through lanes plus a left turn lane. And there's quite a bit of right turning vehicles. And the through vehicles, it's not as heavy, and so we are recommending, and they're working on this, they'll restripe, so there'll be 2 through lanes plus a dedicated right turn only lane. And have you ever seen like the permitted right turn overlap is what we call it, where you have a green arrow to turn right. And if you're not used to it, you might stop and go. You're like, oh, I can turn, but once you're used to it, cars can stop, and they don't stop once you're used to it. They just go. You're like, oh, I've got a green arrow, go, go, go. Just hope somebody in front of you is familiar with it, and they're also going. So that helps the overflow of traffic. So for Daniel Dale, you'll turn right, and you'll have your right turn green arrow. And the school is making those improvements on their own. And also, a big help on this school is not the middle school and high school are not arriving and dismissing at the same time. There's a 25-minute gap between middle school arrives and then high school arrives. And same thing with dismissal. Middle school is dismissed first, 25 minutes later the high school is dismissed. So they're not all coming at one time. So that's positive. And so this is the not so fun part of the community. We are adding traffic, so I would like to say there will be no impact to your traffic. You have no problems at all. But reality is we're adding a lot of students, and yes, there will be some impact to it. The impact to the Daniel Dale and Cockrell Hill intersection, that after we make these improvements, before we make these improvements, it was going to have not a lovely impact. But after we make these improvements, it'll increase the delay about 20 seconds in the peak AM and peak PM time periods there. So overall, there will be a little bit of delay in the peak AM and peak PM time period. And then on the high school driveway, there'll be a delay of additional, like if you're going through northbound on Cockrell Hill, you'll have to wait an additional about 45 seconds when school is arriving and dismissing. They won't be all day long because the city will be able to set the timing for the school traffic. And then on the middle school driveway, about a 20-second delay on that one as well.
I would really like to mention too, and the other slide, that the school has 147 days that it's open, and the 2 hours in the AM and the PM are the peak. These improvements are improving the traffic at the intersection and the overall traffic for Daniel, for the citizens of Duncanville, for the rest of the days of the year, and Saturdays and every other day, and hours other than those 2 hours are being improved for the City of Duncanville, done by Life School. So I just wanted to reiterate that. And that's really our presentation. I think we're ready for questions. I'll let Brent finish. There's some boards over there on the side showing what the school is going to look like. It's, from an architect's point, I think it's going to be a very beautiful school, high-end finishes, not high-end, but durable finishes, brick, nice inside, very nice school for students to be at, all looking at the trees and the woods every day they come in too.
Brian, thank you so much. Thank you for allowing us to share this update with you based on feedback we've already received. I wanted to not pass this mic, but pass that mic over to you, Mayor.
You got it, thank you.
Thanks, Roland. Yes, sir.
Thank you for the presentation. And just as a reminder, this, I don't want to term it preliminary from their standpoint because they've done, it takes a lot of work to do this kind of a traffic study. But as far as the city reviewing and accepting the traffic study at this point, we're a long ways off. We've got to do our own review. But just want to make that clarification. I'm not criticizing what they presented. I just want to tell you that as a part of our process, we've still got to have engineers review it, meet with these folks and talk about issues that may not match up, or maybe it matches up, but we'll get that figured out. And I'm glad I heard the mention of the middle school being calculated in too, because I wasn't sure that initially that was going to be included. So it kind of gives us a broader scope in terms of time when the middle school is added, that's been included in the calculations to keep the cars off the street as best we can. So with that, we're ready to entertain some questions. If you want to come up to the mic. Yeah, there's some seats spotted around. If any of you want to grab some of these seats that are in here before we get into questions, you're welcome to come in. We can raise your hand if there's an empty seat by you. Okay, so you see there is a handful of seats out here. Because I know it's got to be getting warm back there. I guarantee you it's cooler up here. So we have one lady here. Keep your hands up so she can identify a spot. Anybody else? There's quite a few spots around. Come on, make yourself comfortable. Okay, we're good? All right, change your mind, let us know. Okay, here's the first question. And you got the mic.
Good evening. I would like to say thank you for the solo individuals who are in here. Good to see you all as well. So thank you. I'm Teddy Williams. I live in Hollywood Park. That directly this opportunity will impact. Right now, we still have a huge traffic issue that's really congested that I really don't actually see being mitigated. We have noise pollution issues in the area that I haven't really heard about. I don't know exactly if this project or like schools can stop rush hour traffic. I don't think that I heard that right, but I do know that some of those lights, turn-ins, etc. will, I think, add, what, 20 seconds? Did I hear that say? Yeah. Okay. But we do have a lot of traffic of people trying to get out of our area. We're already bottlenecked in Hollywood Park, only because TxDOT moved on-ramp at 67 back. So we're already bottlenecked and people already can't get out soon enough. It's not that we don't want life school to prosper. It's not that we don't understand that parents want options. It's just that we still want to be able to not be negatively impacted as we currently are right now with traffic, with noise pollution. I didn't hear anything about after-hour security for the facility, like will there be a gate whereby so that people can't go into your parking lot and spin out like they currently do in some of the parking areas already. And then the last thing for me is sex offenders within a 500 foot of a child safety zone. This is, I want to say, you said, how many? 200?
200 for what?
For sex offender registration.
City notification.
Okay. All right. But right now, I'm just not necessarily with the revised. You made mention of the stadium as well, but I don't know about even the stadium parking. So I heard the 250, 220, 260 for students, teachers, but what about that part as well?
Yes, so let me answer that. So on the parking, this parking lot and these parking lots, and then there's also parallel parking along the road. And then when the middle school comes on, we are at the required parking amounts required for parking of a stadium, that full, complete build out. So even before then, we'll have more parking than is required for that. And the other thing is with this extra lane here and up here is there's extra parallel parking that can happen during the game if it was to need some overflow. To talk about your fencing, it's not shown exactly here, but there will be a gate in here and maybe even up at the road in phase 2, and then there's also a gate in this area with a turnaround, and there is going to be a complete fence all the way around the property at the edge of the tree line, all the way down here, and then when it comes over here, that's an 8-foot solid masonry fence that was discussed before. So the entire property is fenced with 8 feet high fencing, and there are vehicle gates at the 2 entry points.
I'm going to mention also, Ms. Teddy, thank you. So,
Maybe a blessing.
sorry about that. So I'm just going to remind you that the traffic study that they've done is in and around the area of the school. As the city gets involved in that discussion, we're going to also look at the effects that during those drop-offs, those peak hours, the effect it's having at I-20 in Copper Hill and Danielville and 67. That will certainly be a part of our discussion with the people that we're talking to try to get a feel for how that's going to be managed as well. So that's not going to be left out. It's just not anything we're discussing right now because her discussion was the scope around the school. So
But that is the scope of the school.
okay.
Oh, I did want to clarify one thing when you said about the during the rush hour. So in the afternoon, the traffic from the school is done before the heavy rush is done, starting at 5. So the school's impact on 5 and after will not have an effect on that, other than a few people picking up athletics.
Rush hour was at 4.
From 4 to 4:45 will be affected, yes.
Okay. Next question.
Thank you. My name is Alicia Brown Young, and I live in the meadows of Daniel Farms. And I've been there 18 years, and I don't have a lot of questions because we've been meeting for the past several weeks with the committee that we have in our community to discuss the issue. We went to Life School on a Zoom call, so a lot of these questions were answered, but again, not to our satisfaction. So mine is more from a personal perspective of living in the community that will be directly and adversely impacted by Life School. So first, let me say thank you to the City of Duncanville for hosting this meeting. It was important to me and to our neighborhood to have our voices heard as it relates to this very serious matter. So let me ask the question first. How many in this room live in Duncanville? And, yes, and will be impacted by the Life School. Thank you. Secondly, I would like to start by saying I have an array of emotions regarding this proposal. And let me start by saying I'm disappointed as to how we discovered Life School was proposing a zone change to build an athletic complex, high school and middle school in my backyard. Life School, you made no effort to meet with the community of Daniel Farms to share your plans or ask us our thoughts and opinions. Surely, you knew the architectural structure of our community is gated, one way in and one way out. Homes are ranging from $500,000 to $700,000. Surely, you knew how this would disrupt our daily lives. Surely you knew our community would be affected adversely. But surely you felt your agenda of building a school in my backyard would be acceptable. Surely you must have thought that. Surely you must have thought the noise, the busing of students from all over Dallas, the traffic would be okay with us. Surely you must have thought we didn't care and we're not at all concerned about our opinions. Seems as though you thought we would just present your proposal to the Planning and Zoning Committee, to the City Council, and that would be the end of that. Surely you were mistaken by the type of people who reside at the Meadows of Daniel Farms, where we chose to live there because of its location. Let me say this, as a daughter of a high school principal, an English teacher, and a legacy of educators on both my parents' side, I am a strong advocate and a huge proponent of education. And I feel that every student and child should be entitled to a quality education. I understand the importance of providing our children a solid foundation to prepare them for a prosperous future. I am the product of public education and of an environment that was conducive to learning. But like school, let me ask you this. How would you feel if you purchased a home in a quiet and quaint neighborhood where you enjoy coming home to peace and quiet, only to be greeted daily by football and band practice, cheerleaders and loud PA systems? How would you feel when you want to entertain friends and family on Friday night on your back porch, but you have to compete with the noise of a stadium? How would you feel if you now have a 3,500 capacity stadium literally built not down the street or across the street, but in your backyard? How would you feel when your community is one way in and one way out? Now you would have buses and cars prohibiting you from exiting your community. How would you feel if the value of your home is now being decreased? How would you feel with students being bused from all over Dallas into your neighborhood where they have access to your community? If you say, and anyone here says, that would be okay with you, you are being dishonest. To have our lives totally disrupted with traffic, noise, trash, and other things. Life school, I don't dispute that you are a good school. I don't dispute that at all. I've heard great things about you. And I know that you care about the children, but what about us? I would recommend and suggest researching other locations in Duncanville to build a school and not in my backyard. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate the comments. I want to give the life school folks a chance to respond to some of the questions that were contained in them.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank everyone that's spoken thus far and acknowledge that Life School is a good school. Thank you for your thoughtful reflections and just that exchange. I sincerely appreciate that. I do want you to know that I had met with several people that were neighbors of Meadows at Daniel Farms. And
Hollywood Park?
I'm sorry?
Did you say Hollywood Park?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Ah.
No, I did not. What I'm saying though is that the high school location was actually right up against the Meadows at Daniel Farms. And I have met with some folks that we had several discussions, and I was under the assumption that they would go back and talk to their neighbors. And that was my mistake. So let me just say this: Life School is a leadership and character school, and as the leader of Life School, I made that mistake. But after the June meeting, after we received feedback, what happened? I continually reached out to Meadows at Daniel Farms and tried to get a meeting, and we just weren't able to do that. But that's the heart of who we are. We definitely want to find solutions. We want to do what's best, and we want to be good partners with the community. Could I add one more thing by having Mr. Nelson say something about the design? Thank you.
I do just want to point out one of the reasons that Life School went for this property is this property has been owned by A.W. Brown Charter School since 2007. And there were already plans of a school to be here since 2007. That's why Life School, and this is who Life School bought the property from. I just want to have that out there. It doesn't change necessarily, but it hasn't been, says residential, and then suddenly Life School bought it. It has been a charter school, owned by a charter school for almost 20 years.
And just one other thing, I'm sorry, Ms. Teddy had to leave apparently. But when we arranged this meeting, I asked the city manager, because when you do a public hearing, and this is not a public hearing, but when you do a public hearing, you're only required by law to send notification to everyone within 200 feet of the property that's in question. That's state law. Okay, I asked the city manager when they were in this meeting, I said, can we go up 500? We don't, this is not a town hall meeting, we're not restricted by law, can we go up 500? He said to me and to his staff, let's go 1,000. Okay, so that's why a lot of you got notices, because we extended that out because we wanted to embrace the community, not just those people that were required by law to be contacted. So it's much more effective this way. And so we have another gentleman who has questions, comments.
Good evening. I'm a resident of Duncan Farms also. And I have... Can't hear you. I have one question, rhetorical, and one comment. As Alicia said, how would you feel if you had worked as long as I worked to buy a home, you move into your home, into a nice, quiet neighborhood, then able to retire in that home because it's a nice, quiet neighborhood. Then an entity shows up saying, telling you they're going to build a complex with a football stadium, athletic fields, right basically in your backyard, with no regard for your feelings, because that's what you guys did. And when we talked to you the first time, you were completely out of touch. Now, the last thing I'll say is, I oppose the rezoning for life school.
Hi, can y'all hear me all right? My name's Karen and I actually live in the Homestead community. So it's a new community that's getting built out. Hi, neighbors. And I want to highly respect all of y'all who've been living in the communities around us and are already very established, like neighborhoods and communities. I will say as a comment, if I just purchased my home like 10 months ago, and if I knew 10 months ago that this was a proposition or a thing, I would not have bought my home. And I think a lot of my neighbors would have also not bought their homes. So understanding this, if this goes through, I think it's not going to only devalue the homes around my neighborhood, but I think the possibility and probability of the other homes also selling, which we still have phase 3 coming up, that has not even started selling or finished selling yet. And I guarantee a lot of my neighbors probably feel the same way about how their home values are going to change now, because we're going to have a hard time selling these homes. Now, I will say as a comment and also as a question, I am seeing your plans change to where the stadium was, so you did move it from the neighborhood that was very vocal up in Meadows, but you actually moved the stadium right behind my house now, which is worse now. And also now there's a soccer field, which is going to add more things, right? To me, it feels by just the change of it, personally, it feels like you don't really care about the neighborhood. Thank you. And I say this specifically because the one thing you did not change are the trees in front of the school. Hello. That border and width did not change. When you have that extra acreage, you said over 100 acres, to add that as an actual border around the neighborhood, and then you would probably feel potentially less opposition because you would have more quiet. And you wouldn't have to talk about the light pollution and the sound pollution, because those few acres make a lot of difference within the population there. You're choosing to keep that tree areas. To me, it feels because it's easier and less hard to level out that area for you guys and where you want it.
Cheaper, yeah.
It probably is cheaper, yes. I don't know about that, but it does feel like it didn't matter because all I saw was a change in the stadium and the fields, which is now close to my house, again, instead of changing where the tree line is. You do have more buffer there to add.
Exactly.
And I don't know if that's also a process of y'all to say okay, well, we heard y'all again and now we're adding more trees just to make it seem like you guys are listening to us. Because it definitely doesn't feel like you guys were listening to us after this proposition. Urgent.
To answer that, with the grading of this site, I'm trying to go there. It's actually relatively impossible to build in this tree area. There's also a large floodplain at the bottom that can be built in there, and just the destruction of this whole habitat and trees and neighborhood, all of that also. I will also say one other thing. If this in here, if the school was back in this part, then why we did this was that the neighbors and everything else would be looking your second floor window would be looking right into a school that's always there. So, and also to just get along this nature preserve.
So what I'm hearing, sir, then is no matter what we ask for, the stadium and the fields are going to stay where they are because you guys can't move anything forward. And that's like clear as day.
Well, it would be very difficult, probably impossible by grading and other things required by the city. And then all of these trees and all of this natural habitat that are good for Duncanville and the air and quality else would also be destroyed.
I think that's a false comment because those trees would be added to the back. So the percentage would stay the same if you actually moved them back and added them to our border. But you're choosing not to because you're saying the grading is impossible.
These trees are 50 to 100 years old.
So are the ones you're about to kill and destroy the back.
We are not destroying any tree. There's very few trees back here.
Those are, I border right behind it. There's plenty of forest and trees. In
Okay,
that
so
area.
these trees over here, that's at the corner, here's the property line. So I don't know where you live. These straight ones, there are no trees there currently. But where this comes like this, those trees are there and those are staying because those are not our property.
I know they're not.
Where
I live in the back, I'm sorry, but no, the trees have been eradicated as of last week.
They're getting destroyed to also build homes in that area.
Okay,
So, but that's not on y'all though. But what I'm saying is,
I do.
regardless of the trees and population, what you're saying is the true reason they're not getting removed is because it's a gradient issue. And I think we need to be honest about that.
It's a gradient and the trees themselves too. I do really want to point out here, this is from here where all of these trees are currently or were, I don't know what's being destroyed out there. That is not our property. That is the other housing. As this angles, those trees back there are the other property, not our
That's fine.
property.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm really outraged right now. I'm gonna try to stay on script and just breathe, but I do have some comments. Thank you. The whole Life School project has taken over our lives as a resident in Danville Farms. If not more, we have other community members here from Thorntree, Hollywood Park,
Cambridge Estate,
also Homestead. The concerns are still far-reaching as of this day. I oppose the rezoning of from single-family 13 to an educational development. And the reason why we're here today, I think this was brought up earlier, is because Life School did not do due diligence in letting the residents know any of this. Like I said earlier at another meeting, Life School, you went radio silent on us until we received the information from planning and zoning. We knew nothing about it, okay? Just a few more comments. We're asking that the mayor and the council members know, and we are sure that they know this, once the zoning is changed, Life School can bring anything to our community, upgrades, expansions. Someone mentioned earlier that 60% of the students will get brought in from cars. That's about 13 to 1,400 cars. So we don't want that in our neighborhood. We do not want that in our neighborhood in any form or fashion. The final say is, and I think this has been a statement that many of us have said recently, do you want this in your neighborhood? Would you want this in your neighborhood? I was looking earlier at a few of the graphs and I see my house up there, right by the stadium. I mean, people could throw popcorn in my backyard. Wow. We don't want this in our neighborhood. We do not want this in our neighborhood. So please keep the zoning single family 13. Please do not change the zoning to planned development.
My school has been a part of my life for 22 years, and I've been a Duncanville resident for 22 years. So I moved, to Duncanville with a 7th grade girl who was very timid and shy. She would have been swallowed up in Duncanville ISD. She wouldn't have survived. But luckily we had an option to go to Life School, not a private school. I was a teacher salary, and doesn't conducive to private school. So we left Duncanville and we've enjoyed living here. But I knew coming from a smaller academic environment that she would have had a difficult transition into the size of school she would have been enrolled in. As a parent, I made the decision to enroll her into life school. She attended life school at Cliff and graduated with honors. During her years at life school, she was not only given a wonderful academic environment, but a focus on leadership as well. She found her confidence and voice while attending life. She had the opportunity to excel academically and socially. She was able to participate in sports, whereas a school the size of Duncanville, she would not have had that opportunity. Participating in school sports allows students to learn teamwork, sportsmanship, and how to navigate difficult situations to prepare them for life. Duncanville is a wonderful school district with wonderful staff and teachers, no doubt about it. It's just not the best solution for all students. As an educator on an educator's salary, I was not able to pay for private school. Life School gave us the opportunity to attend a public school, but in an environment where she would thrive. You truly see a staff that genuinely cares for all the students in their care. They want to see them succeed and achieve dreams that they have. There seems to be a misconception that Life School is a private school, but it is a public open enrollment charter school. I love that Life School has students from a variety of geographic boundaries as it teaches the value of community as a whole. If you look at Life School alumni, you will see those students who are still highly invested in the communities where they live, this community. They are educators, law enforcement officers, firefighters, doctors, lawyers, aerospace engineers, and so many other fields that are so important to a community. Life School students lead with a servant's heart to serve in the communities in which they live. It has been a catchphrase, but it is so true. It's not just school, it is life. Life will not detract from the community or Duncanville ISD, but will be a partner. You will see the interactions with students and staff in the community. You will see how they support small businesses, especially when it comes to in-service days when they provide food for staff. Life School always gives back and encourages community support. If you have time to volunteer, they have a place for you in all areas that Life School has opened a school. The area has been impacted positively. As a resident of Duncanville, I fully support this addition. I know that our representative has worked hard at reviving our area of Duncanville. This is a great opportunity to positively impact that initiative.
Good evening. My name is Regina Jones. I'm a resident of Thorntree Estates. I am a 35-plus year educator, so I absolutely respect education, but one thing we teach our children is to respect the decisions of others. With this decision, with this rezoning, you're not respecting the purchase of our homes. We purchased gated communities in a gated community for a reason. As a single person in a home, safety is my major concern. First of all, because you're saying about the fence and all of what you're proposing, but you're making us liable to others, not only the students that attend the school, but on the weekends, you're making it easier access for others to get to our homes. So that's a big concern for me. Again, like it's been said several times, I knew nothing about this until someone called me and said, there's going to be a stadium in your backyard and the lights. And because I was a high school principal, I know all about Friday night lights. I know about the bands. Again, I love education, but I also ask that you respect our decision of where we decided to live, make our home, and for our safety. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for having this town hall meeting. My name is Shirley Lacey, and I live in Daniel Farms as well. And so I've seen your plans, they're lovely, but it's not for our community, not for in our backyard. All I hear is disruption, chaos, ongoing noise of construction for years to come. And so I just want to leave you with this. I was pondering what should I say? And so I was going through my Bible, and so, and God said, He said,
I have no way out on this one. I'm in trouble.
He said, and my people shall live in and dwell in peaceable surroundings, secure, safe, and sure dwellings. So it means our residence, our homes where we live and sleep, undisturbed resting places. Our environment, our homes, shall be free from worry and turmoil, and a place of calm rest. Life School will not bring that to us.
Mr. Wilson, community, I come up here on a different note. So I want to be very honest with you. I've been in education 25 years. I've taught in charter school. My son has attended. He's going to speak. And I come to you from a different platform, from a different perspective. And I think all of us probably need to look at things from a different perspective. Land is very scarce. You're not going to find it. They're not going to find that kind of land anywhere for this area. Duncanville ISD is already in millions of dollars deficit. If a school doesn't go back there, would you, don't answer out loud please, just think about it. Would you want foreigners, other people come in, buy the land for commercial property? Hear sirens, hear police, see police chase. I don't want to see another commercial building. I was once an environmental science teacher, and I'm telling you, I love hearing the coyotes in the back. So I'm going to be a little hardened by that. But they're already gone away because we have other communities around us. Thank you for changing the floor plan of the plan, because we literally, Mr. Wilson, could open up our back gate and walk back there. That's where our house is. So if anybody's affected, it's definitely us. My in-laws were the first builders of that house, and then we bought it. I want to tell you all, anything that the Wilson family, the team, they are educators. I have worked for a charter school before. I've worked for a public school many years, and they stand behind anything they say. When we lived in Cedar Hill and that campus was built, anything they said was going to take place, they did it. They take care of their own security. Every child meets graduate. They're putting the effort in. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They meet graduation requirements. Our son's foundation, after starting in private school, he went to Life. Life was the only place that was willing to accelerate. Think about your children, your grandchildren. Those who don't meet the norm in the classroom, they need to be accelerated. They need to be somewhere where they're going to be challenged. Life School did that for our son. Our son was the youngest student. By the time he didn't get to go to a high school for Life because it wasn't local, it wasn't in the area. Sometimes parents have to do something different. We have 3 children, all 3 of them graduated from a different school. One from Trinity Christian School when it was a Christian school. He attended Life, and then our daughter graduated from Cedar Hill High. All of them have been very successful. He was the youngest in every place he had gone to because Life gave him a test and allowed him to skip grades, a grade level, and to accelerate him where he needed to go. He's now at LSU. He's going to tell you his thoughts. But I just wanted to let you know that the Wilson family, they are a family, and their team is a family of integrity. They're not going to, I had shared my opinion and voice with some staff members at Life, whom I have partnership with. They believe in biblical principles. So if anybody says they're a Christian and they believe in biblical principles, Life believes in that. When they first started, until the state put some boundaries on that, you could not keep your child at Life unless you had parental involvement. You had to participate. Give so many hours. Am I correct, Mr. Wilson?
Yes, ma'am.
You had to give so many hours. Now Dallas ISD is trying to do that. If your child acts up in school, they're going to have to attend some classes. Life has that foundation. When they first started, they had hundreds of kids waiting on a waiting list. That speaks for itself. So as parents find out that the state has cut funding, even at my campus, and I teach in Duncanville ISD, we are short of staff. When they find this out, they're gonna wanna go to other places. I want everybody to stay in Duncanville, DeSoto, wherever. But the reality is, people are looking for alternate places where their children can learn, where their children are not, where they can come in and they can have a safe place, smaller classroom sizes, but still getting quality education. So to the Ms. Shepherd, Ms. Johnson, Wilson family, my son was the face of life, and he still has those foundational principles where he was learning Spanish and other languages in elementary. You don't get all of that at a lot of schools, and you're definitely not going to get it at another charter school.
First thing I want to say is, first of all, good evening, good afternoon. Hope y'all had great days. My school came out here and they gave us, first of all, an original master plan of what they were going to do for the school. Then they heard concerns, they heard worries about the school, about the traffic plans, and they made updates. The last thing they're trying to do is just completely disregard how y'all feel. So I'm just asking that we just show a little bit of respect about what Life School is trying to do. They're working with us. I ask that we work with them because it takes, in order to receive respect, we have to give respect. So that's the main thing. Second, I would like to say is Life School is a great school. One of my favorite schools that I attended. And they also provide a different type of experience for education. One thing that Life School did that you don't see in Dallas ISD as much, that you don't see in Duncanville ISD, that you don't see in City of Duncanville ISD, is that they require they held parents and students to accountability, their accountability. They made sure that students are acting up, that parents are involved. They made sure that they had tally systems. I'm not sure if this is still intact, but when I was back in school, if we acted up, we received a tally. My mama tore me up. She had to sign it, and then if I came back to school and it wasn't signed, I get another tally. And that's another one. So they made sure to hold the students accountable, and they made sure to hold the teachers accountable as well. I mean, the parents accountable. And if there's any concerns, the teachers were held accountable also. So it's all a teamwork. It's all teamwork. Well, another thing I would like to say is that I understand there are different concerns about traffic. I understand there are different concerns about the sound. First of all, sound, football. I understand Friday Night Lights is a big thing, all right? It's Texas. Football is a big thing. But at the same time, we're not going to experience a game at 1 o'clock in the morning, all right? We're not going to hear bands playing at 1 o'clock in the morning. I understand it's going to be late, and sometimes we want to be, enjoy our peace and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm not disregarding anybody who came up here prior to me, but I'm also saying, like, let's be reasonable. We're not going to hear a whole bunch of drums playing while we're trying to sleep at midnight, okay? We're also not going to hear, yes, we're concerned about students or people coming into the neighborhood, coming to the backyards and stuff like that, but it seems like they're ensuring a plan where there will be a fence around the neighborhood. There'll be, like they said, there will be nobody to be able to go over the fence because it's an 8-foot fence, right? They're ensuring that. Look at the driveway into the school. It seems pretty long. I know there's going to be traffic regardless because it is a big school, but at the same time, they're trying their best to work with concerns that we have. I understand, like, this is still a rough draft. This is not a final draft. If there are any more concerns, that they're going to continue to work on it. They weren't required by law to reach out to us. That they still did. They still reached out when they could, and they found out that we weren't reached out to. And they told us about the different things that was going to happen. And then they held this town meeting that way, or the town meeting was held so that way if there were any more concerns that they could continue working on. I'm pretty sure if there are more concerns, they're going to go back and try to make better revisions. And so what I like to say is just let's just show some respect, and let's also understand what the plan is. Because at the end of the day, if we look around us, look at our society, look at my generation. The world's not getting better, right? One thing we should be pushing for is education. Right now, I see a lot of my classmates ended up in prison. I see a lot of my classmates doing well, and I see a lot of my classmates having children and all this different stuff. Life School is a school that made sure that they try to push for their students' future. So, if anything that we should be pushing for, it is a school. It's to better our children, better the children of the future. And that we should be pushing for that. Because the last thing I know is another mall in Dallas that just goes to poop, excuse my language, another word, but just goes down the drain, and it just really brings down the value. Life School, please, this is what I ask you. I don't know how many people have driven past Life School and seen, I'm about to wrap it up, my bad, but I don't know how many people have driven past Life School and seen the different properties, but if you go past Life School Cedar Hill, I'm in college, my third year in college. When I went there, my first, second year, and in my fifth year, the property is still, if not, looked better than where I did when I went there. My school is not a school that you're going to see that is just run down and that is just graffiti and all this stuff like that. That's never been the case. So all I ask is for respect, let's just show some love, show some respect. I understand they're working with us, and that's all I ask. Thank you.
Still got a pretty good line out here, and we're coming up on 30 minutes, so I just remind the speakers as we go on. And don't forget, Life School representatives are willing to stay after to field additional questions. So we'll go on to our next speaker.
All right, good evening. My name is Megan Beck, and I'm proud to stand before you today as someone who's been personally shaped by this wonderful community. I was born and raised in Duncanville. I'm a second generation Duncanville High School graduate, so once a Panther, always a Panther. Today I'm here not just as a resident of Duncanville, but a dedicated employee of Life School. As a parent of 5 children, yes 5, and a supporter of both Duncanville and Life School, I believe wholeheartedly in the value and opportunities that each provides. Growing up and attending Duncanville High School, I experienced firsthand vibrancy of our large student body. There were so many opportunities, but also some limitations. Participation was often reserved for the best of the best, which sometimes left others on the sidelines. In contrast, Life School offers a unique and enriching experience for students. With a smaller student body, only 1,200, Life School provides comprehensive offerings similar to those found at Duncanville, career and technical education, athletics, fine arts, UIL, dual credit, and leadership development. Students have a chance to explore multiple options and interests. As someone who deeply values education and community, I am pleased to support Life School's plans to open a 4A high school here in Duncanville. Having another school option is not just great for our families, it makes our city even more attractive to new residents seeking a supportive and thriving community. It's important to emphasize that being supportive of both Duncanville and Life School is not only possible, but incredibly beneficial. We are enhancing opportunities for our children, fostering environments where they can flourish in multiple arenas, and maintaining that champion spirit of Duncanville. Together, we are building a future where every student has a chance to shine and find their path to success. So thank you for supporting Life School and our community's educational future.
Good evening. I'm Chandler McGann, and I was understanding this is a Q&A session, not a comment session. Is that correct? My question is, has the Assistant Fire Chief, Greg Chase, had a chance to visit the property and given his approval to store over 100 truckloads of mulch on site?
So in terms of plan review, that'll be done through the process. We're not going to answer these questions today.
Okay. What is the plan for the southeast corner that consists of 10 acres that was dotted off on the previous master plan that wasn't mentioned tonight?
Life School does not have any plans for that property right now. There was some, they're not intending to sell that property at this point.
It was in your application that you withdrew.
I'll take it. Well, you know, since day one, even before we purchased the property, right there at Cockwood Hill and Danieldale, we had conversations with the city talking about property tax, sales tax, and that's one of the things that we wanted to reserve as an option for the city to bring in additional revenue. I think it's important that that we're giving options and we're having conversations with the city just to say what type of development would we put there if we were to put development there. And one thing we've agreed, even in our conversations with the city, is we wanted it to be a high value property. So it wouldn't be things that would lower the property value of that area. Obviously, if we're going to be there, we want to make sure that we're maintaining a great piece of property, and we want our neighbors to also be someone that adds value to what we're doing. So it would definitely be something that would complement what the city of Duncanville would like. But the reason why we didn't include it tonight is because we just have no plans. We have a concept drawing, but we don't really have a lot of detail.
Okay, so there's plans in the future for the 10 acres.
Let me also add that none of this is being put on the PD now, so anything that would happen there would have to go through the full PD process again for that.
Okay. And then, no one in this room really disputes that you're a good school. You're probably one of the better charter schools, but I would dispute that you're a good neighbor, and currently, today, we're neighbors. I am curious as to why your contract with Brightview, your landscape company, that y'all refused to cut 150 feet buffer between my fence line and your property as per the city code.
I mean, you can take that, Brian. Well, again, if you look at the timeline, we purchased the property in, the exact date was like September.
I sent an email to your school 3 months ago.
And have we not responded?
You did respond. You said you'd take care of it. It's never been taken care of.
Well, as a matter of fact, this is something ongoing that we have done. Whenever there's been overgrowth, and we bought the property, since we've been on that property, we did not control when someone dumped all the mulch. That was there before we even got there. And then when it comes to trees falling, repairing of fences, etc., that's something that we have stayed on top of. We've worked with code enforcement with the City of Duncanville because we're committed to being great neighbors. And as soon as we start breaking ground and working on this project, we're going to be able to be there every day and maintain it. And it's going to look like our other properties. I definitely encourage anyone that is in the South Dallas, Ellis County area to drive by our facilities and look at the level of care that we give to those facilities. We want this to be something that our community is proud of.
When will you give contractual approval to your contractor, Brightview, to cut 150 feet from the fence of my fence and the fence of these neighbors along Flora? This is all going to be on.
I have not been involved in those conversations, but we're happy to have a follow-up conversation with you. I don't know the details specifically, but I know that our commitment has always been to stay on top of what we see with our property.
Okay, you can visit my home at any time. I'd be glad to give you the gate code, and you can come see it at any point that goes to the city council and any city employees. My home is always welcome if you want to come tour.
Thank you. That's very generous of you.
And you can come see what's not been taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mark Cooks, Middle Daniels Farm. I really had no plan to speak today, other than Dr. Wilson made a statement that someone met with the organization to talk about their school. After that statement was made, it allowed me to get up to speak, because the property is in my backyard. And the reason I knew about the property, Dr. Wilson, I talked about this, I was walking around my neighborhood and a neighbor said, "Were you aware that they just sold that property?" I was not. Because it was in my backyard, I reached out to Dr. Wilson and said to you that I wanted to know what was going to go on behind my fence. That wasn't anything new for me. When I did that, the first thing Life School wanted to know is, how did I know so quickly? I knew quickly because my neighbor was a teacher at at the school that was sold. After the meeting, I then said to him, I didn't approve anything, but I couldn't approve what was going to go in the back. I just wanted to know as a neighbor. After that, they asked that I would not say anything until they had a chance to meet with the neighbors. After that did not happen, I personally got my Zoom and sent to my neighbors to say, join the call to hear what Life School has to say. So I wanted to correct that statement that you assumed that those two people that you spoke with was going to go tell the neighborhood, because that was not true. Now let me talk fact for just a second. Sitting on city council before as myself, the major emphasis I had was with a charter school here in Duncanville. I spent most of my calls as city council person trying to talk to neighbors in the Village Tech area. Now I find myself doing the same. But let me just give you a couple facts. If you leave home from Cockrell Hill to Danielville at 7 o'clock in the morning, probably 7 to 9.
Yes, Lord.
You cannot turn going to work less than 20 minutes get on the freeway. What that tells me, and that's without a school, what that tells me on traffic is that traffic is lined up from 67 to Danielville. Now with traffic, you're going to tell me that it's going to be lined up from Danielville on past the school. What it also tells me about traffic is, as I was there, Conquer Hill and Danielville is the most dangerous corner that we have in Duncanville. So what would that require then? What would that require? That's going to require that we have more police, more Duncanville police monitoring that traffic. Again, that's out-of-pocket money for us in Duncanville because that's our police department. And not only with the police department, may I share with you that when you finish that, we're already short in our police department. And now we're going to have to reallocate more police to take care of that. My other fact-finding thing, Dr. Wilson, is as you talk about adding lanes or streets, who's going to pay for that? Is that in your budget to pay to add another lane? You're going to pay for that. Thank you very much. And then let me just close, and I know we have more people to talk. Let me correct one thing for us. And maybe this is me, but I just corrected corporate America for the bank I work with. And I know some of you may be sensitive to this as well. This area of Best Southwest is known as either Best Southwest or Southern Dallas. South Dallas is known as the Fair Park.
Thank you, sir.
So if you please correct that in your schools to say that this area is Southern Dallas or Best Southwest. Let me look at one or another, and I'll leave it alone. Yes, sir. I'll finish. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, ma'am. I'd like to address the traffic about the improvements that are, of course, not approved yet, but that we are proposing for mitigation is around in the probably in the close to $3 million with all of the traffic lights and the turn lanes and everything else by the time the school is totally built out, and that's life doing that work.
Hi, my name is Kayla Fry, and I have been a resident of Duncanville for over 50 years. My husband owned a business in this city for 35 years, and I worked for Duncanville ISD. I live in Hollywood Park. I bought the second house that they built in that neighborhood, so I've been there a very long time. And it was so exciting for my husband and I to move to Duncanville because it was a small place and we saw potential, we saw possibilities, and we watched it grow, and it was wonderful. But there comes a time when the growth can be detrimental to the people that support it, and that's us. And if the traffic is the most awful part of this entire thing, because we cannot even get out of our neighborhood on Avenue of the Stars to go into Copper Hill. Even though they posted things to respect and not block they don't respect that. And I've sat there as long as 12 minutes to get out. So we've resorted to going out the back way to Danielville. You do this to us, and we're going to have traffic coming through Duncanville to Hollywood Park to get to 67. We're going to have everything completely combustible for repairs and street reconstruction. I'm a senior citizen. I'm 76. I still drive. Amen. But that's just something to think about when you're putting people like me out on the street amongst all of these calamities. And I would love to think, after all of my experience of living in Duncanville, that the people that live here and make it what it is should be the priority. I have nothing against life school. I support schools. I was a Duncanville school nurse for 25 years. But there's comes to a point where we need to come first, and they need to start regarding what our needs are.
My name is Dr. Charity Simmons, and I live at Cambridge Estates. Just like the gentleman said, we didn't know there was anything coming up with live school. In fact, I haven't heard of live school. So one of the neighbors came to the house and said, do you know there's going to be live school at the corner? And I said, what? Of course, we tried to go to the city meeting June 8th. Well, we weren't on the agenda, so we weren't called. I've been texting the city officials. And this Friday, I hired 2 guys who passed out all the flyers in the area. I think I'm going to want to know. You said you bought the land 2007.
No, what we said is it's been owned by a different charter school. I'm not thinking that was going to build a high school. And it's been on the tax records. So if you were to look up who owned that property, I think from 2007, I could be wrong, could be a little bit later, 2014 in there, has been owned by a charter school. That's what I meant to say. So this property has been owned from a charter school for at least 10 years. They purchased it in October, September, October.
First of all, there are many people who would like to come here and tell their peace of mind. And if the City of Duncanville doesn't mind, we can have another town hall meeting. We are ready for another town hall meeting. Because when we heard about this thing and we went to the city, just like the other day, gentleman said, how did you hear about it? And I was kind of flabbergasted. How did I hear about it? You are building a school behind my backyard. And you know noise carries. And noise can be stressful. People are going to work all day. They come in and the traffic and all that. We haven't even spoken about the ambulance. All the ambulance from Glen Heights, everything comes right there. 25 seconds that you said is precious. 25 seconds when somebody has had a heart attack or serving a baby. So, from where I'm standing, we don't want any school in our area. I have lived here for 38 years. I like my peace. I like my peace so much. And the city has taken care of me very well. They have provided for me. But this time around, like I made them know, they have dropped the ball. Because from last July, or whenever you said you meet with the city, somebody should have been able to tell us. You should have done your own feasibility studies. I don't like blueprints, I don't like the maps. Because, first of all, I don't hear too good. It sounds so great with all these maps that you have done. When the ambulance is coming with your father, your neighbor, how are you going to feel the person dies on the way because there is a school bus and something? No, it's not going to work. We bought our houses. We bought our houses to have peace. We didn't buy our houses to have pieces. When you come from work, your house is your heavy. And I'm sure many of the charter school people don't have a school in their backyard. So what makes you think we are going to want school in our backyard just because you bought it? Maybe you can put residential areas. We are okay with that. But school, high school, and the bus, and the speed limit 20 miles an hour, and the flag, who is going to? No, that is not going to work. And I'm really kind of disappointed because until I started raising Cain, nobody. I tried to call somebody's name and they told me, I called the people and they said, how did you know? So this was going to be swept under the carpet. We elected the city officials to take care of it. We elected the city officials to take care of it. But now, they are not. And we don't want the school in our backyard.
Good evening, everyone. I just want you to know at this point we're being touched on our shoulders and told we only have a few more minutes. I feel some kind of way because Life's Charter had an hour to present. Now our whole communities have an hour together to pose our questions and concerns. My first question is, does our presence, feedback, input, comments, concerns, do they even matter? Are they going to change anything? Yes, sir.
That actually part of our presentation, part of why it didn't take an hour, but part of why it took a little bit longer was we were actually showing the first round of feedback that we've received and made adjustments. And so we are listening. We actually have people that
My question was not, are you listening? My question is it going to change anything? Let me say this.
Really
I was on the
anything?
first Zoom meeting, and I heard the questions there. You moved the stadium, as you said, from their backyard to my backyard. Our questions and comments and concerns are all saying for everyone that is not a linked member of Life's Charter, our questions and concerns are, we don't want it. What do we do to say, go away? How do we make that happen? Now I'm listening.
Well, one thing that we have done is beforehand, we didn't have a fence. We had limited trees. You're right.
That's not my question. Yes, I'm listening, but I'm listening for an answer, not a political voice, an answer. I don't want to hear the politics about it. Are we saying enough that we don't want it? Can we make it go away? I don't care about the fences you put up, or imagined, or dreamed about. I don't care about the trees that you value over our lives. How many times do we need to say, go away for you to go?
I think this is a process we're going to walk through with the city, and the community can continue to have a voice in this. We are listening. We've already proven that we've made adjustments whenever there have been concerns, but we have purchased the property.
So we can't say go away and you click your heels and leave.
I don't think that's
so.
Something
Thank
I'm
you,
going
sir.
to do.
That's enough. Thank you, sir.
Thank
All
you.
right. So everybody in here, here's what I really want you to hear. A couple of things. First of all, our Mayor, Mr. Contreras, and this is no disregard or disrespect to anybody. Lord, I ask you to order my steps and my voice and my words. He said himself, we're only required to do 200 feet. I said, let's do 500. And can you tell me who the gentleman was who said do 1,000? This needs to be our mayor right here. And I respect you humbly saying no, but guess what? You cared about us. Because within 200 feet, I wouldn't have known a thing. I knew because another neighbor that was 200 feet told me about it. So let's be careful about how we vote. Because 200 feet shouldn't even be the rule in DeSoto, and I'm sorry, Duncanville. I'm thinking about DeSoto because have you ever been outside, neighbors, on a football night, a home game for Duncanville or DeSoto? I'm sure there are some trees between us. I'm sure there are some 8-foot fences and 10-foot fences around us. And I can still hear their bands very nicely. So those 8-foot fences, I mean anything, let me just go jump right over them and bounce off of them and around them and everything else. Those trees that they value more, that they can't take down because nature and this is, what about my life? What about the 20 years that I've invested plus in Duncanville? I have so many more questions. Yes, you keep your communities clean, but the one you talk about in Oak Cliff, South Dallas, is right off of 35. We're not right off of 67. The one in Waxahachie is right off of the other end of 35. Freeways. We're a community. We are a neighborhood. We're not a service road, although we're getting ready to be treated like one. So, I mean, Mr. Chandler had a laundry list of questions. I too have. But since they're tapping me on my shoulder, let me ask you all this. Do y'all even care to start some kind of Q&A so that we can continue to pose questions? And I'll stay here another 2 hours if I need to sign up to be on it. But we need to at least be able to ask questions since you're considering everything we say, because I have a whole lot of them that I wrote down.
And I would like for my neighbors to be able to see those questions and see your responses. So that we at least, since we can't do anything about it, we'll at least know what to expect. Thank you.
Just a reminder, excuse me, just a reminder that, we mentioned this earlier, there's going to be a series of public hearings as the process begins to roll out. This gives everybody opportunity to come back and ask more questions, gives the life school people a chance to make some changes if they see fit. So this is not a closed door by any means. This opportunity here was meant to be just out there, transparent. Okay, there's nothing being hidden here tonight. This is about you, not us. It's about you, and we came to listen. I want to try to get there as many more people as we can. We're short on time, but we're going to fit in more. And we've got to have some measures to kind of control so everybody can have an opportunity. Otherwise, they'll roll over after the meeting, and the life school people are kind enough to say they'll stay and they'll answer some questions. So maybe we can fit them all in that one. So next piece.
Good evening. I'm Vincent Battles, and I actually live in Homestead, Duncanville Farm and Homestead, which is a neighborhood in DeSoto. My question is, we talk about neighbors. Have you worked with the city of DeSoto, particularly when it comes to Daniel in that street? And going down Price, and I think it's called Bolton. Exactly. So have you started working, or have you worked, or are you in conversations with the city of DeSoto, particularly as it terms in widening the street in Daniel?
We have not had a discussion with DeSoto yet because of where the property is and getting this work through them. So we can still have those with DeSoto also.
So when we talk about the street, when we talk about traffic, Daniel is very important because there's a lot of traffic right now. When you're trying to come out of a neighborhood, you have to wait 20 minutes, whatever the case may be. So between Hampton and also Copper Hill on Daniel, that needs to be addressed. And I hope you're working with the city of DeSoto.
Okay.
Okay.
So if I could just address that real quick on your behalf. So the city of DeSoto is familiar with the project. I have a standing weekly meeting with the city manager of the city of DeSoto. We work very closely. As we go through the official process, we will be referring documents under what's called a coordinated review. So they will have that information, just so you're aware.
One other thing before we go on with that too. I also, as far back as Juneteenth, met with the city manager, the mayor of DeSoto, to make her aware that we were sensitive to the DeSoto resident needs too, and that I would keep in touch with her. I reached out to the councilman in DeSoto in that district, so we have had a very close contact, being aware that you are good neighbors to us in DeSoto, and this impacts you too, and we have done everything we can, including putting the flyers out 1,000 feet into the city of DeSoto as well. So we've done above and beyond what some cities would do, but in the best Southwest, we work together, we care about each other. That has been addressed from as far back as June to make sure that DeSoto was a part of this.
Hi, can everybody hear me? My name is Desiree. I'll try to be quick. I'm new to the area. I'm actually from San Antonio, Texas. I moved to Dallas, honestly, because of life school. I was looking for somewhere that would be, I would be surrounded by people that look like me. So to be in here with you guys as homeowners, I'm actually, although I'm kind of on the opposing side, I feel very proud that you guys are protecting what you have invested in and what you worked so hard for. However, I did grow up with the high school in my backyard, and I loved it, but I don't know what it's like to be on the side of being retired and not want to hear that noise. So I do understand that. However, I do want to say, because I heard some people, making comments about crime, according to the criminaljustice.iresearchnet.com, most studies have found that with schools in the environment, it's actually a positive public safety outcome and lower crime rates for the communities. States with higher levels of education around them also have crime rates lower than the national average. And schools, in some cases, can actually increase property values. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, property values increase about $20 for every dollar spent on school funding. The National Association of Realtors also found that homes in high-performing suburban school districts are 49% higher than the national median and 77% more expensive than homes in lower-rated districts. So with Life School, I'm a new employee there. My daughter is starting kindergarten there, and this is like a private school. It's like no other. I know for a fact that it's not going to come with trash being in your backyard. We'll come pick it up. This is the standard that's being set in the classrooms. It's amazing. So I think that there still needs to be more delegation to decide, make more decisions with you guys in mind. But with all due respect, I think we still have to be aware of police power. And I'm not talking about the police outside, I mean in real estate. So with police power, and I'm just gonna assume that maybe, everybody might not be familiar with that. It's the authority of the government to regulate real estate no matter where you live. I mean that with no disrespect. If they decide to put a railroad in your backyard tomorrow, if they decide that's for the public good, it's happening. And that would be, without regards to emotions, okay? I do live right next to the campus in Oak Cliff, but I actually do want to move to Duncanville, and I would still move to a neighborhood that had a school. That would not stop me from moving there, and I would be there for a very long time. My only child is 5 years old. I say that to say, the traffic is annoying. It is. But we do a really, really good job with clearing it out very quickly. Our parking lot is huge. We go in a circle to where we don't have to block off the street for so long. We have our own security on campus that helps with that. I know they mentioned having to pay the police extra. We have our own security on campus that regulates it and stops us so that the traffic that's coming through, so they can continue to go. The other day there was an ambulance and we had to stop. We almost hit each other. They're making us move out of the way for the ambulance that was going into the neighborhood that's right across the street from the school. So I have full faith that if we guys work together, that we can come to some type of agreement. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. What was I saying? Okay, I think that we got, there's still some work to do because your feelings do matter and your retirement years are super important. But it's not going to be like, it doesn't have to be a horrible experience. I'm not a city planner, but it doesn't have to be a bad experience for the residents. Somebody, did mention God, so I did want to touch on that really quickly and I'll be done. 1 second. Give me just a second and I'll be finished. Let me find it. So God does care about children. He views them as gifts and expects them to be nurtured and guided, okay? See that Matthew 18:10 says, "See that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I tell you that their angels in heavens always see the face of my Father in heaven. Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." That's Mark 10:13-16. And lastly, all your children shall be taught by the Lord, and great shall be the peace of your children, because I know somebody had mentioned peace. And I'll leave you guys with that. So have a good day.
Hi, I'm Sharon Gray, and I've been a Duncanville resident for 28 years. I'm a little bit older than that, just a little bit. My kids took fencing lessons in this building. I've walked so many laps in this park, and that is my library. I've also worked at Life School for 17 years. It's my 18th. And my daughter graduated from Life School recently, and she serves a lot of you coffee in the local coffee shop. At Life School, she found a safe place and people that care. Now, I teach kindergarten at Life School, so I could feel and so and that was my student in the first slide. She was mine. And forgive me if my words are less than perfect, but they will be short. From experience, I can tell you that this is a conscientious district. The facilities, okay, I'll tell the truth. They drive the teachers a little bit nuts because we have to keep things just so. True? Okay, and so we also take good care of our buildings. But more than that, the principals are really careful to train the teachers, and boy, do they train it. And then the kids, the teachers are training the kids. We love our kids. We do. They're our passion. And guys, it could be used one some of yours. Some of your grandbabies may need a safe place, and our school may be that safe place. This may not, in fact, I know it's not a lot of your first choice for our new campus. I know that. I get it. I do. But these are good people, and you could do so much worse. Thank you.
Lawrence Smith, Meadows and Daniels Farm, again, the neighborhood. Really cool question. Can you pull that? There was a picture of a stadium that you had on there, and I had a really cool question about that. But could you put that picture up for me?
Yeah, just there.
Okay, beautiful. So just a couple things, and some of these are questions but comments as well. There's been a lot of comments that I've heard here that it feels like it's taking us way away from what the issue is. The issue is about a rezoning, right? The concept is we would rezone that area from that is right now one thing into another. So there was some conversations about, well, we could build buildings in there and all kind of things that aren't, it's not even zoned for that. So that's not a scare tactic that works for us. And that doesn't have anything to do with it because it's not zoned for that in the first place. The issue about education, who ain't about education? Everybody just knows about education. It's not about education. And man, you guys are doing some awesome things. Whoever the kid was up there that's in the third year of college, you rock it. I want to see you as the city councilman, later on, because you're doing good things. But that ain't the issue. I can make this beautiful steak if I put it in a garage pan and hand it to you. It's not going to be delicious. At the end of the day, that is a beautiful stadium. Look at the neighborhood behind it. There's not one. Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Yes. My name is Tom Gebert. I'm a resident of DeSoto, Texas. Moved there in 1972 when we had 1,300 people. I owned Wildwood Development Company. Daniel Farms is my child. I started acquiring that property shortly after I brought Woodland Hills, which was a small unincorporated city, into DeSoto against the wishes of Duncanville. The main reason is a good portion of that is into Duncanville schools. You heard about Great Southwest. Great Southwest is the community. It's not DeSoto, it's not Duncanville, it's not Cedar Hill, it's not Lancaster. We're one community and we're one neighborhood. Thank God we still live in a democracy. And democracy starts right here. I've listened to all of you tonight. I was surprised when I found out about Life School buying this property. And I'll tell you why I was surprised. Because I had a contract to buy this property from the Brown School that I've been working on for 7 years. I had a contract with Larry Johnson, who owned this property before that, when Brown School came in and offered him more money also. I had a conversation with the Ford family and the Daniel family that owned all of Daniel Farms starting in the 1970s, in the 1980s. Unfortunately, that family had a problem. I bought all of Margie Ford's property, and I bought that started 25 years ago. I developed the Meadows of Daniel Farms. I would have never developed that property had the property behind it not been zoned the way it was. It was actually zoned for larger lots than were in the Meadows. The reason I ended up with that was because the branch of the family that I couldn't deal with, someone died, and Margie came to me and asked me if I would buy that portion, which was the only portion that Mary Johnson didn't buy, so they could pay the state taxes because they couldn't. That's why I did the Meadows of Daniel Farms. That's my child. I would never have developed it had not known that it was properly zoned. I'm developing the rest of Daniel Farms right now, which is right next door to you, have the same type homes that you have, the same quality. Wildwood Development Company, we're named Wildwood because we protect trees, we protect trails, we protect creeks. And I've developed more in this area than every other developer included. In Duncanville, the last development I've developed was the Meadows, but I've done Big Stone Gap, Greenstone, Greenwood, all quality developments, because we are community builders and we've been in business since 1969. Lake Ridge is one of our developments. The reason I'm telling you this tonight is I want you to understand the history. We're building a trail system. We've given $4 million to the city of DeSoto to build a trail system that runs from it's part of the Roy Orr system that we've been working on for 40 years. We designed this trail system 40 years ago. So I care about this community. But let me tell you the other side of the story also. I found out a year ago, and I spent a year investigating. The life school people are fine people. It's a fine school system. It's the best charter school system in the state of Texas. They've got the best financial record. I visited their campus. I looked at their football field. It wasn't as overcoming as I thought it was, but I'm not here to make a decision. I'm here to protect the people who live in Daniel Farms and Homestead. Right now, we're selling homes. We're about to develop a section right next to the football field. We're developing lots right now. Now we have people coming in to buy. We have the best home builder in the Metroplex, Bloomfield Homes. The best quality, the best character. So we're now having to tell these people we're going to have a charter school possibly next door, and we're losing sales. But we have to disclose that to them. I couldn't do that to the people in Daniel and Meadows because I had no idea that it was going to be there. When I moved to DeSoto, I moved on Young Boulevard across from where Ruby Young School was going to be built. Miss Ruby taught my kids. I knew the school was going to be there. It was my choice. So I had no problem with the school. I understand those of you who came to Meadow Farms couldn't. Now, they've got a complicated situation. They bought the land. They bought the land from Brown. Brown never really did anything about doing the school. It was a using the cover of a nonprofit to hold the land to make a tremendous profit, and they made a big profit out of it. Twice I tried to buy it. And I had a contract on there one way, and they didn't tell me about it until 3 months after they actually signed their contract. So, am I mad? I'm not mad. There's no reason to be mad. I didn't have control of it. If you end up with this school, I promise you it'll be good quality people. You won't have something that will look. But I understand why you don't want it in your backyard, because you didn't bargain for it. This is a democracy. The decision is going to be made by this gentleman and the people you've elected to office. It's not that easy though, because schools and churches have a superpower in this state that gives them the right to override all of what you want to do. But these people are good people. Treat them well. I'm here. I told them when I first met them, I said, I'm not here as an opponent or as a proponent. I'm here to protect the people who are in my community. And my community is not just DeSoto, it's Duncanville also. Thank you for listening to me tonight.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shidalyn Anderson. I live in Daniel Farms, Meadow, sorry. My only question is, if the zoning is not approved, what is your plan? As I heard the gentleman that built our community, thank you for that. I've lived in that community for 10 years now. I'm a 24-year educator. Worked in administration all the way through. That land was purchased by another charter school under a different pretense, and now we want to change the zone. When we bought the house, it was zoned for single families. So my question is, if it does not pass, because that's the proposal that we received in our neighborhood, the proposal is to change it from single family to school development, special development, whatever else that comes along with that. An educator, so I know when it's changed, there's other plans that come along with that. What would be your plan if it does not get changed from single family? Then what? Because the other charter school bought it to do something, but they never did anything about it. Right? It was purchased in 2007. So what would be your plan?
I think we just have to reassess based on the vote, based on conversations. It's difficult to say what we would do just because we don't know the outcome of the vote, and we don't know even the type of conversations that'll happen in public hearing at P&Z and then at City Council. Thank you.
One other thing. And when you originally purchased the land from Brown, did you know that it was zoned for single family and that you would have to change it? And was there a conversation that you guys had with somebody else that we weren't privy to?
I can safely say I did not know that detail. I knew that A.W. Brown owned it, and I had our commercial real estate broker reach out to them, but I didn't know any details on zoning. Thank you for asking that.
Okay, we have one more speaker.
Mr. Finch put me on the clock. I had a speech, but as a coach, I'm going to make a halftime adjustment. Just go quick to you guys, speak from the heart. Scott Thrush, I've been at Life School for 22 years. You can imagine all the stories. I'm the athletic director now. I've been a special ed teacher, PE teacher, coach, about everything, and now I'm the athletic director. But you can imagine the stories that I could sit here and tell you, and I have a lot of plan of the kids, and there was one out here earlier. That Life School has made an impact, a positive impact in their life. Bateman talked on it earlier. The doctors, the coaches, the firemen, the police. We got a board member. We have probably a dozen kids, probably more than that, have graduated from Life School that are now back at Life School doing the same thing for others that our people did for them. Dr. Wilson talked on the mission. You heard it. The last part of that mission was partnerships with you guys, with the community. That's y'all. That's why we're here. We want to partner with you. That's in our mission statement. You don't find many schools that have in their mission statement to partner with the community. And that is why we're here, to partner with you guys, and we're sincere in that. As far as our vision, what we do in athletics is we want to coach these kids and change their lives. We're not just about winning. We want to offer them something better. We use sports as a tool to change their life. We teach them all the soft skills, our life leader attributes. We pour into them and get them ready for life when they get out of here. So they're going to make this community better, and we're true with that. So I'll just leave it with this. I appreciate you guys here at Life School. Thank you for partnering with us, and I promise you, when Life School gets here, we'll make a positive impact on this community and surrounding communities and all around us, Texas. Thank you.
apologize when we did run over, but I expected we might. So I appreciate you hanging in there with us. And are you still available to chat with some folks if they need to? Okay, so after we wrap up here, and again, I want to thank everybody. There's a lot of passion. It's understandable. We came here to listen. We did listen. There'll be more discussions, many more discussions, many more analysis of the traffic plan. We'll be talking to our attorneys. They'll be talking to their attorneys. So this is going to be a little bit before we get this thing sorted out, but there will be opportunities for you to hear and get updates. And there's some community members out there that have been in touch with me on a regular basis. I don't call them, they're going to call me. So we'll keep as transparent and open as we can about what's going on and when meetings are decided on in the near future, so that y'all can participate and get to have a voice in those meetings as well, because they are public hearings. So thank you again so very much, and thank Life School for coming out, and for the staff that was here to support the event tonight. Thank you very much. All have a good evening. Be safe.